Om Shanti. Today is your 120th day of your meditative blessing. And in today's blessing, God the Father reminds us of what is our complete devotion towards. So God says that your devotion is towards what you want to become in your life. And to become that in your life, you have to remember the crown God has given you, the crown of purity and the crown of responsibility. Once we remember that, then we realize that we have a goal in our life, a spiritual goal. God says that the world has got physical goal. Somebody wants to become a lawyer, somebody wants to become rich, a big business person. But all that is going to be destroyed very soon, in this life or in the coming few years. God says because Kali Yuga is supposed to be destroyed very soon. You can see the signs, you can see the tribulations which are happening all over the world, and these signs are telling us that the end is very near. So God says those are worldly desires, but God has given us spiritual desires, that He says, I want to convert this world from Kali Yuga into Satyug, to golden age. For that I need you children to become pure. So let's see what exactly is His desire and what He wants us to do. So Baba says, may you have a crown and be seated on the heart throne. May I have a crown? Which crown? Do I become a king in this world? In this Kali Yuga? No, I don't have any desires to become a king. But I, the soul, want to become a king of my five senses. That means I decide what I think and I do and I see and I act and I hear accordingly. That means I, the soul, am in control of all these five senses. So Baba says, may you have a crown and be seated on the heart throne. Whose heart throne? God's heart throne. So all the world remembers God, but whom does God remember? Have you ever thought about it? That's very important. What is more important, God remembering us or we remembering God? So with the awareness of your intoxication and your goal, make your physical senses work under your orders. Do they work under our orders? Do I see what I want to see? Do I hear what I want to hear? Do I speak what I want to speak? Or I, the soul, am not in control of my five senses. If I am not able to control these five senses, how can I control my destiny? How can I control my destination? And how can I be liberated from these five senses? Because these five senses are controlling I, the soul. So my mind and my intellect, if it's being controlled by five senses, that means I am not a king, but I am being controlled by the king. They have become the king of my mind and my intellect. So how will that work? God says, I have come to relieve you of those different forms of bandhan or different forms of dependencies in your life. We have become dependent on five senses for pleasures. God says, I have come to give you liberation from these things. So let's understand in details. Baba says, at the confluence age, all of you children have received a crown. This is a confluence age, a very incognito age, where most of the people are remembering God, but God says, I have come down and I have come to meet you children who have done the maximum amount of bhakti, or who have done the maximum amount of penance in their previous birth. They have read all the shastras or all the scriptures, have gone for all the different pilgrimages, and you have come to your last birth, and in this last birth I come and give you my introduction. That means I reveal myself for you because you've done so much of devotion in your previous birth. So God says, at the confluence age, all of you children have received a crown. The crown is what? We'll understand that. And the throne from Bap Dada. Bap and Dada means Adam. There is a crown of purity and a crown of responsibility. So what is this crown? The crown of purity. You see a halo behind spiritual souls or divine souls or deities or saint souls. That is not just brahmacharya. That is not just following Adam or purity of Adam. Brahmacharya means Brahma's acharan or Brahma's way of life. So Brahma is Adam. So Adam's way of life that we have to follow. God teaches us that method. It's not only brahmacharya, that means you remain a celibate, but in your thoughts also you're pure. Only then you are following brahmacharya. So there is a crown of purity. That is one thing which God gives us first, and also a crown of responsibility. What responsibility? God comes down on earth to turn completely this whole world upside down. Means He turns Kali Yuga, or He turns the Iron Age impure world into pure world. That's why the destruction lies ahead, because the old world or the old house has to be destroyed for a new house to be created, or a new house to be rebuilt. So God comes down on earth to turn this world from Kali Yuga to Satyug. That means from hell to heaven. So God says then that is your responsibility to children, because I can just snap my fingers and turn it into golden age or hell to heaven. But who is going to go into that heaven? You children. So for that I have to first purify you. That's why I take a couple of years to help you purify yourself so that you are ready to go into heaven. So then Baba says, that's why that responsibility lies upon you to change yourself, to transform yourself, purify yourself, and help other souls also to recognize God and purify themselves. That is the crown of responsibility we have. So then God says, there is a crown of purity and also a crown of responsibility. There is an immortal throne. So this is the immortal throne of the immortal soul. All of you souls are sitting right at the center of your forehead. And that's where you sit and control the brain, and through the brain you control all your five senses. But you have thought that you are a body, and that's why your mind and your intellect is not in your control, whereas your senses are controlling all your mind and intellect. And God comes and teaches us a method to be in control of our senses, because He is completely bodiless. God Father, that's why He knows how to be in control of the five elements, because He is the king of all five elements. He's the Lord of all five elements. That's why He knows He doesn't come into the five elemental world and get attracted to five elemental world and have any karmic accounts with the five elements. That's why He's always in liberation. He comes and teaches us how to be liberated from these five senses, which we souls, we children have come and got entangled into birth, after leaving our supreme abode and coming on earth. So God teaches us that method, and He says there is an immortal throne. This is the immortal throne of us souls, and God's immortal throne is up there in Paramdham, or the soul world. He doesn't have a throne on this earth. So, and also the heart throne. Whose heart throne? God's heart throne. When you are double crowned and seated on a double throne, double crowned, one is the crown of purity and the responsibility crown, and seated on the double throne. I am seated on this throne, and I am also seated on the throne of responsibilities, that I am the king of my five senses. Then you automatically remember your intoxication and goal, that I have to become pure and I have to become divine. That is the goal. If I remember this, then I am following the goal. Your physical senses then say, yes, my Lord. That means these five senses are in my control. If I leave purity, if I leave the responsibility, if I forget that I am an immortal soul, and this is where I sit and I control the body, and if I think I am the body, then these five senses will try to control my mind and my intellect, and your mind and your intellect. That's where the whole struggle is all about. That's where we get the samadhi, and that's the teaching of how to achieve samadhi, by being in control of my five senses. So then Baba says, the orders of those who leave their crown and throne. If I forget purity, if I leave the responsibility, and I leave the throne, that means I become, instead of soul conscious, I become body conscious. The orders of those who leave the crown and throne are not obeyed even by their workers. So these are my workers. Baba says, be in control of them by being pure and by remembering your responsibility, and by being soul conscious and not body conscious. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult to attain liberation, or even to have your mind and your intellect in control of you. These senses will be controlling your mind and your intellect. So what do we want? You want to be a king with a crown, double crown, or you want to be controlled by your praja or your ministers? Think about it. That's the teaching which we learn at Brahmakumaris. And I leave you with this beautiful vardhan. Have a blessed day. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Om Shanti.